Your mindset is the catalyst that keeps you going in this life and in this world. So never neglect your mental health. I remember when I was in college not too long ago, about 3 years removed from undergrad, and when I was a sophomore, I was in one of the lowest states of my life in terms of my mental health. I always looked at depression and low vibes as something that was definitely not going to happen to me. And looking back on it, I truly was depressed, but I just put a lot of things that that hid and hindered my true emotions to even myself. Maybe it showed to others, but I don't even think it did. So mental health is so important because if you don't do it, you're going to have underlying circumstances that are going to be itching and biting and nagging at you while you're trying to complete your goals. Completing your goals while you're not all mentally there is a very tough task. It can be done, but you're adding an extra weight to your shoulder that you just can't seem to shake loose. The only solution is to face those head on. In order to face your mental health head on, you have to really sit and contemplate and see what exactly is it that is causing the root of your emotions, your anger, your desire, whatever the emotion may be that's low and that has no implications of becoming positive. Because here's the thing about life is you can be very high energetic in different areas. Like let's say when you're playing a sport, that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, you feel fulfilled. When you're, singing your favorite song, that brings you happiness in the moment. But when you're all alone, you're not doing much and you're left to only your thoughts. If you can't sit still and collect your thoughts and think about what happened through a day, then there's something wrong. It's almost insane to me that we've come to a norm where no matter what time of the day it is, we have to be doing something. If we're not moving, we gotta at least be moving our body or moving our hands or something like that. If we're sitting around and doing working in silence is considered weird, or even listening to, I like to listen to classical music and people are like, this is weird. I'm like, I'm just trying to vibe out and study, right? So I'm just talking about in the present day. But what I do is I don't look at it with ego and say, oh, you just don't understand because you're not conscious. You're not in a mental health space like me. Like that's what I used to do at the beginning of my spiritual journey. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, just don't do that because you're just going to be looking down on people. And that's not a good feeling either. That's just a cocky feeling as far as you're further in your spiritual journey than others, which this is not a competition. Life is not a competition with other people. Life is a competition about being better than who you were yesterday in order to lead people to a brighter future. So, bars. Hold on. That's bars. However, when you are truly going through mental health, sitting down and, as I have mentioned before on this channel, just journaling is what's really going to start expressing and revealing these dark entities and these dark thoughts that you might have towards a subject or towards a person, towards an event that happened to you. I remember an event that happened to me where I stopped playing sports and then I just went into a downward spiral of not knowing what I was going to do next. Now, gratefully, I have a supportive family around me and I had people around me and also a career path lined up in terms of what I was creating with art. But when you go 18 years playing one sport and then suddenly you're just not even on a team, you just are kind of in a deserted zone. So a lot of the times the art that I was making was filling a void that was in my heart that I wasn't truly attacking and I wasn't truly investigating. So that's what I think a lot of my social relationship skills and my skills of truly showing love have lacked, and maybe even to this day they still lack because of that event. I do feel that over time I've been able to push those emotions up to my conscious brain and really think them out and close my eyes, meditate on them, and be like, okay, this circumstance that happened, it wasn't my fault. A lot of times what happens to you, you have to take ownership of it, but it's not your fault. It was just the current mind state that you were in at the time, and that was who you were in the past. What's the issue is when you don't dive into who you were in the past, and you just let it sit and simmer and be there instead of attacking the problem. You let it fester. It's like a wound that you keep trying to just like scratch away. Like eventually it's just gonna leave a scar, and then it's gonna be oh so difficult to take it away or heal it. So really think about what caused you trauma, what caused you to think in a way that's not positive, and then what positive reinforcements can you give to that situation, or give to that thought, or give to that event that was traumatic in your head. A lot of times it's just replacing your negative behaviors with positive ones. Let's say, for example, you just have a lot of negative actions within a day that don't even help you be positive to raise your vibration or raise your consciousness. For say, you choose always when you eat a meal to eat junk food after that meal. Now, eating junk food is a temporary release from any stress that could be on your brain, and a lot of times the stress that we feel, it's not on our conscious brain, it's on our subconscious brain. So that's why we do a lot of our actions subconsciously in the moment to aid those complications that we might not even know are there. So it gets pretty deep and it gets pretty crazy, right? So you eat junk food just because you're not feeling like yourself, or you're feeling a little bit depressed on maybe a conscious or subconscious level. That doesn't help you, and over time that's going to make you that much more low vibrational, low energetic. Let's say that you choose to take the elevator at work every day instead of going up flights of stairs. Having a physical body that's active and ready to go at all times is very important to living a great life and dealing with stress. So taking those types of actions, that's not going to help you in the long run. Let's say you avoid any type of conversation that might seem awkward. So every time an awkward moment's going to happen, you pull out your phone to check social media, or you do something random that doesn't even pertain to anything that's going to help the conversation. Also a negative trait that's going to derail positive affirmations in the future to come. So those are just 3 little things that you could maybe reflect on yourself that you've done in your life, or that you do right now, that where you could be more positive at. So it's really just taking an analysis and being true to yourself. If you can't be true to yourself, then truly ask people that are close to you, or family members that will give you an honest answer because they have love for you. And that, don't turn on people when they are trying to tell you something that's true and then get defensive. A lot of times when I would get defensive when someone would tell me something that is most likely true, like in the moment, okay, you know, you might go like, dang, they really just said that about me? Is that true? But that's when you got to reflect on it and really look at yourself in the mirror and see what they're talking about, whether it's positive or bad, and see if that's truly a reflection on you. Because it's not going to always be a 100% accurate test, but a lot of times they're going to get pretty close, because it's easier for people to be critical of others and truthful about others than themselves. And that's just the law of nature. That's just the way nature is. I think it's just like that because as people, we have so many things going on in our mind throughout a day that we want to strive to be perfect human beings, but at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. So a lot of that stems from what we see on media and social media in terms of who we want to strive to be like, or the idols that we look up to, thinking that they have no flaws or they live this life that's so much more lavish than us. And those people as well, they have flaws. Trust me, we all do. There's things that we can clean up. There's things that can be better, but you just have to accept who you are in the moment, and also accept the traumas that you have dealt with in the past, move on from those. If you have grudges against somebody, what good is that gonna do you? What good is worrying about how someone harmed you back in the 8th grade or stole your lunch money in the 6th grade when you're 24 years old? Like at that point, like what are you gonna do about that? So it's just little things like that can add up to your subconscious mind. And then I know there are traumatic events, and in those events, really seek help, because there's gonna be people out there that can help you out with those situations, because the worst situations that you go through, someone else has experienced those too, or someone else has experienced something similar. And that's to also say, I don't always like to just point out the negative experiences that you had. If you've had a positive experience, like you help people, or you've overcome obstacles in your life to get to a point where you've mastered a craft, or you've helped your family out in a major way due to finances or the accomplishments that you've had, then share those as well. It doesn't always have to be on a grandest scale, but share those and reflect on the great things that you've done in life too. Every reflection have some positivity in it as well, to keep building that positive reinforcement loop. That's how we grow and continue to see life for the evolution of it, not just the day to day. Life is an evolution. We are evolving humans, whether you like it or not. And that's the reason why we can't leave things in the past, because as everything evolves, a new day comes. So it brings new challenges and new insights, new expeditions that we want to take a voyage on, take a trip on, right? So really look forward to every day as being new, something that you can learn from, and drop a lot of negative emotions that you've had in the past to leave room for the positive.